Good evening, everyone. My name is Elijah Edwards, and today I'll be presenting for Ag Ed 704, Foundations and Philosophy of Agriculture Education with Dr. Paula Faulkner. The focus of my assignment, titled Philosophy Paper John Dewey and Charles Prosser, is to examine how these two influential philosophers shaped education in the United States, particularly in the development of vocational and agriculture education. Both John Dewey and Charles Prosser had very different views on the purpose of education, but together their ideas have had a lasting impact on what we now call career and technical education. In my presentation, I compare their philosophies, discuss their contributions, and explain why I chose them for this assignment. John Dewey, who lived from 1859 to 1952, was a philosopher, educator, and a leader of the progressive education movement. Dewey believed that education should not simply be about memorizing facts or passing down knowledge from teacher to student. Instead, he argued that learning should be about being active, engaging, and tied to real-life scenarios. For example, instead of just reading a book about farming practices, Dewey would want students to actually step outside and get into the field. That experience combined with classroom discussion makes learning deeper and more meaningful. Dewey also saw schools as places where students could learn to participate in democracy. He believed education should prepare students to solve real-world problems, think critically, and become socially responsible citizens. One of his most important ideas was that academic and practical learning should not be separated. He promoted experiential learning, what we often call learning by doing, and wanted schools to balance both knowledge and hands-on experience. Charles Prosser, who lived from 1871 to 1952, had a very different focus. He is often called the father of vocational education. Prosser believed that schools should directly prepare students for the workforce. For him, education was about efficiency and ensuring students left school with the job-specific skills needed to succeed in the labor market. To give an example, while Dewey might focus on how farming connects to broader democratic and social issues, Prosser would design a program that trains students specifically to operate farm machinery or manage livestock, skills that directly translate into a job. One of his biggest contributions was helping to develop the Smith-Hughes Act of 1917. This act provided federal funding for vocational education programs in agriculture, trades, and also just the industry. It was a turning point because it legitimized vocational training in public schools and made it a permanent part of American education. Prosser's work laid the foundation for what we now know as career and technical education, or CTE. Although Dewey and Prosser approached education from very different angles, both had a powerful influence on how vocational and agriculture education developed. Dewey brought a broader vision of education, one that integrated academics with practical applications and emphasized critical thinking and social responsibility. Prosser, on the other hand, brought structure, funding, and legitimacy to vocational education by tying it directly to workforce needs. For instance, if we think about agriculture education today, Dewey's influence can be seen in programs like FFA projects, where students reflect on leadership and community impact while learning agriculture. Prosser's influence shows up in technical certifications like welding or tractor supply courses that prepare students for immediate employment. Together, they create a balance between democratic, student-centered learning and practical workforce preparation. I chose to focus on John Dewey and Charles Prosser because I believe their philosophies complement each other in important ways. Dewey reminds us that education should prepare students for life as engaged citizens, capable of critical thinking and democratic participation. Prosser, meanwhile, emphasizes that students must also be employable and ready for the workforce. Personally, I see the value in both approaches. For example, if students only learn job skills without developing problem-solving abilities, they may struggle to adapt when industries change. On the other hand, if students only focus on abstract ideas without gaining practical training, they may find it difficult to secure meaningful work. So I think we need both philosophies to prepare students fully. While I don't completely agree with Prosser's idea of pushing students into specific career paths too early, I still appreciate that his work made vocational education a permanent part of American schools and ensured students could gain practical, marketable skills. In conclusion, John Dewey and Charles Prosser offer very different philosophies, but both made long-lasting contributions to American education. Dewey emphasized experiential, democratic, and holistic learning, while Prosser focused on workforce readiness and efficiency through vocational education. Their combined influence continues to shape agriculture and technical education today. When we look at career and technical education in the United States, we can still see Dewey's emphasis on critical thinking and citizenship, as well as Prosser's focus on employability and workforce preparation. Together, they remind us that education should prepare students not only for work, but also for life. Thank you for watching this presentation. I can't wait to watch yours.